My name is Emily Carter, and for 8 years I thought I was happily married. I believed in fairy tale endings, family dinners, shared dreams, and a future built on trust. My husband, Daniel, was charming, ambitious, and the kind of man who made other women whisper envy. I used to feel proud when they did. Now, I wish I had paid closer attention. Because the person I trusted the most was betraying me with a woman who had only one mission: destroy my dignity, take my place, and humiliate me publicly. But she underestimated one thing. I wasn't a weak, foolish wife. And this is how I made both of them regret underestimating me. I remember the first time I sensed something was wrong. Daniel started coming home late, first once a week, then twice, then almost every night. He wasn't the type to ask for space. We were the couple everyone said was inseparable. But suddenly, his hugs felt colder, his smiles shorter, his eyes tired, yet strangely distant, like his mind was somewhere else entirely. One night as I set the dinner table, I heard the garage door open. Relief washed through me. Finally, he was home. I greeted him with a smile, trying to ignore the tension that had settled like fog between us these last few weeks. "Long day?" I asked gently. He loosened his tie, avoiding eye contact. "Yeah. Lots of meetings. Traffic was horrible." He slid his phone into his pocket a little too quickly. I noticed. My stomach twisted. "Sit. I made lasagna, your favorite." He nodded but didn't touch the food. Instead, he took his phone back out, fingers typing fast. His lips twitched, not a smile, but the beginning of one. Like someone had just sent him something. Sweet. And then, as if he remembered I existed, he straightened and shoved the phone away. "I'm exhausted," he muttered, standing. "I'm just going to shower and sleep." "No dinner?" I whispered. He paused only a second, then shook his head. "Not hungry." He didn't wait for me to respond. He just walked upstairs. I stared at the untouched plates, my heart sinking. That was the moment my instincts whispered for the first time. Something is wrong. Something is very wrong. Days went by. The distance grew. Daniel stopped saying good morning. Stopped kissing my forehead like he used to. Stopped joking around in the kitchen while stealing my pancake bites. Instead, he hid his phone like it was a newborn child. He showered with it. Slept with it. One time, while he was asleep, it buzzed. And he shot up like someone had stabbed him. "Work email," he said too quickly, snatching the phone. We weren't perfect. No marriage is, but this was different. This was secretive. Cold. Wrong. I spent nights lying awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment. Was I too comfortable? Too trusting? Did I stop being enough? Then came the night my world cracked. Daniel told me he needed to attend a corporate retreat for the weekend. A retreat. In December. In a company that didn't even believe in team-building exercises. He packed too carefully. He ironed shirts he never wore. And when I asked if I could come along, because I had no plans and thought it would be fun, his face changed. Panic flickered. Just for a second. But it was enough. "No," he said sharply. "It's not that type of event. It's business-focused." His tone cut like a blade. And then he added the sentence that shattered me. "Emily, honestly, you wouldn't fit in." I wouldn't fit in? His wife? His partner? Since when was I an outsider in my own marriage? I forced a smile so he wouldn't see the tremor in my hands. "Of course. You're right. I'll stay." Inside, I was breaking. When he drove away the next morning, I waited exactly 10 minutes. Then I grabbed my keys, my bag, and the quiet rage building in my chest. I followed him. At first, I questioned myself. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was paranoid. Maybe I was becoming one of those wives who create imaginary dramas. But then, his car turned into a luxury hotel driveway. Not a conference center. Not a retreat. A hotel. I parked far enough away and watched him step out. He looked happy, lighter somehow. Like the man I used to know. And then, she showed up. Tall. Stylish curls. Tight red dress. Heels that clicked like a countdown to destruction. She walked straight into his arms. And Daniel, my husband, held her like she was his entire world. Not me. Hers. I felt my heart collapse. My chest physically hurt as I gripped the steering wheel to keep myself from collapsing. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move, couldn't scream. It was like my soul froze watching the man I loved betray me so effortlessly. And then it got worse. She kissed him. He kissed her back. A deep, passionate kiss that had once been mine. Tears blurred my vision. My body trembled, lungs burning. I felt like I was dying right there inside my car. But I didn't rush to confront them. I didn't storm out crying. No, I watched. I memorized. I let the betrayal soak into my bones until it turned into cold fire. They walked inside together, laughing, while my world fell apart. And just before the doors closed behind them, she turned and looked toward the parking lot. And I could swear she saw me. Her lips curved into the smallest, cruelest smile. Like she knew I was there. Like she enjoyed it. That was the moment something inside me changed forever. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to cry in front of them. I wasn't going to be the pathetic, blindsided wife. I was going to make them both regret ever thinking they could humiliate me. I wiped my tears, lifted my chin, and whispered to myself, "You messed with the wrong woman." And as fate would have it, the humiliation hadn't even begun yet. Because the very next day, she came after me publicly. And she didn't know I was ready. And I was done being the victim. The mistress thought humiliating me in public would break me. But she had no idea what I was capable of. I woke up the next morning with a hollow ache behind my ribs. It wasn't just pain. It was betrayal poisoning my bloodstream. I kept replaying it in my head. Daniel's hands around her waist. Her lips on his. That smug, victorious smirk she shot toward the parking lot, toward me. I'd barely slept. Not because I missed him, but because rage was slowly replacing heartbreak, like a wildfire taking over dry land. I wasn't going to confront him yet. Not until I had proof. Not until I knew exactly who she was. And how far this betrayal had gone. But life, in its cruel irony, didn't give me time to plan. Because she came to me first. That morning, I forced myself into routine, coffee brewing, dishes washed, hair tied back. The house felt too quiet, too empty. Daniel had texted me earlier. "We'll be busy all day. Don't wait up tonight." I stared at the message, my jaw clenched, thumb hovering over the screen. He didn't even try to pretend he cared anymore. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. This time with a notification I didn't expect. Instagram tag from an unknown account. I frowned and clicked it. Then my heart stopped. It was a photo taken inside the hotel lobby. Daniel and her, laughing, holding hands, looking like a couple celebrating their love story. The caption cut deeper than any knife. "When he finally chooses the woman who deserves him." I felt my breath catch in my throat. Hot blood rushed through me. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't an accident. She wanted me to see it. Comments had already started appearing. "Ah, power couple. Love wins. Finally. You two are perfect." Love wins? Perfect? My vision blurred again, but not from sadness, from fury so sharp it almost felt cold. Then another notification pinged. This time, it was a DM from her. I opened it, hand trembling, not with fear, but with restrained violence. Her message read, "He deserves happiness. Don't embarrass yourself trying to hold on." And then, a winking emoji. That was it. That was the moment I knew she wasn't just a woman he cheated with. She was a predator. She wanted to break me. I typed slowly, my fingers steady. "Enjoy him while you can." No screaming. No insults. Just a quiet threat wrapped in politeness. The kind that scares people more than a yelling match ever could. She didn't reply. But she didn't need to. The war had officially begun. I didn't cry. Instead, I got dressed, not in sweatpants or a hoodie. No. I wore my best fitted black dress, soft curls in my hair, red lipstick. Not for him. Not for her. For me. Because dignity was still my armor. Then something unexpected happened. I got a call. From our mutual friend, Hannah. She sounded frantic. "Emily, are you okay?" I saw the post. I thought maybe it was fake. So she saw it too. Meaning the humiliation wasn't private anymore. They weren't just betraying me. They were trying to replace me publicly. I swallowed, forcing my voice to stay calm. I'm fine. You don't sound fine. I'm not going to fall apart, I said quietly. I'm going to handle it. There was a pause, then Hannah whispered, Do you want me to send you the girl's profile? I know who she is. My pulse kicked. Yes, I said. Send it. Seconds later, her name popped up on my screen. Ava Montgomery. Follower count? Hi. Bio? PR manager. Event host. Luxury lifestyle influencer. Of course. The kind of woman who feeds on attention like oxygen. Beautiful? Yes. Strategic? Definitely. Dangerous? Absolutely. I scrolled through her pictures, designer clothes, fancy restaurants, vacations, and then several photos of her mysterious love. His face always hidden, captions like, Stolen moments. Worth the wait. Soon. Forever. Soon? Forever? She wasn't just having an affair. She was planning a future with my husband. And she wasn't trying to hide it anymore. She was flaunting it, building a story, a narrative, a victory parade. But she had made one fatal mistake. She underestimated who she was messing with. I stepped outside and sat in my car, breathing slowly. The engine hummed beneath me as I stared at myself in the mirror. You will not break. You will not beg. You will not cry. Just then my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I answered. Hello? A woman's voice. Confident, almost amused. Emily? It's Ava. My chest tightened, rage flaring instantly. How did you get my number? She laughed softly, a sound so artificial it made my stomach turn. Oh please. Daniel gave it to me. We share everything now. Every word was a bullet. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. Then she continued, voice dripping with false sympathy. I just wanted to call you woman to woman, so you don't embarrass yourself trying to win him back. Silence. I let her talk. Daniel deserves real love, passion, not a boring, routine life. You were comfortable, but he wants more. I give him that. Comfortable, routine, boring. My jaw clenched. She still wasn't finished. I'm planning a dinner tonight. Mutual friends will be there. I just wanted to warn you. I'll be introducing him as mine. So please, don't show up and make it awkward. She wasn't warning me. She was daring me. Testing if I would crumble. I smiled, even though she couldn't see it. Thank you for the warning, I said calmly. Oh good, she purred. I didn't think you'd stoop to desperation. I leaned back, voice quiet, almost kind. Ava, one more thing. Yes? You should never assume you've already won. She paused just a second, that crack in her confidence I wanted to hear. I hung up without waiting for a reply. My heart pounded. My body trembled. But I wasn't scared. I was ready. If she thought I would hide in shame? No. I was going to walk into that dinner, not as a broken wife, but as someone she never expected. The storm she couldn't control. Tonight, I would face them both. Not crying, not pleading, smiling. Because the most dangerous woman in the world is the one who has been betrayed and is still standing. I walked into that dinner, and the moment they saw me, both of their faces fell. I don't remember the drive to that restaurant. I only remember the cold determination wrapped around me like armor. This wasn't about saving my marriage anymore. This was about reclaiming my dignity, about sending a message. I may have been betrayed, but I would not be humiliated. When I stepped inside the upscale restaurant that evening, every head turned. Crystal chandeliers, soft jazz music, clinking glasses, a perfect backdrop for elegant destruction. I walked with confidence, each step echoing like a warning. My heels weren't just shoes tonight, they were weapons. I spotted them immediately. A long table, filled with familiar faces. Mutual friends. Co-workers. People who once toasted to Daniel and Emily forever. Now they sat whispering behind menus, glancing anxiously between me and the couple at the end. Daniel. And Ava. She had chosen a red dress again, like she was branding everything she touched. Her hand rested on his arm, nails perfectly manicured like claws claiming their prey. When Daniel saw me, his face went pale. Shock. Guilt. Panic flickered in his eyes. A few seconds later, Ava slowly turned to look at me. That same smug smirk pulled at her lips. But this time, I wasn't the same woman she smirked at outside the hotel. Tonight, she was stepping into my battlefield. I walked straight to the table. The room felt like it held its breath. Good evening, everyone. My voice was calm, steady, a calmness so absolute, it chilled even me. Someone coughed. Someone whispered. A fork clattered against a plate. Then, with the confidence of someone who genuinely believed she could replace me, Ava rose to her feet. Well, isn't this awkward? She said sweetly, loud enough for the whole table to hear. I smiled, slow and controlled. Awkward? I repeated. Not at all. I took a seat at the empty chair directly across from them. I wouldn't miss dinner with friends. Why should I? Daniel swallowed. Emily, this isn't you shouldn't be here. Oh, I absolutely should. I folded my napkin neatly in my lap. You told me not to wait up. So I came to see what was more important than your wife. Gasps. Whispers. Fire behind Ava's eyes. She hadn't expected this version of me. She leaned forward, lips curled. Emily, you really should learn to let go. Daniel chose me. I stared at her. Not angry, not crying, amused. Chose you? I said softly. Interesting. Then why does he still live in my home? A ripple of tension rolled across the table. Someone whispered, Oh my God. Ava's smile faltered, just slightly. Daniel finally spoke, voice strained. This isn't the place. You're right, I interrupted gently. But you made it public first. I pulled my phone from my purse and placed it on the table like a card in a high-stake poker game. And now I'm here to finish what you started. Ava scoffed, recovering her composure. You came here to make a scene. How predictable. I laughed, and I swear the room shivered. No, Ava. You're predictable. You thought embarrassing me would make you look powerful. I leaned forward. Instead, you just looked desperate. Her jaw clenched. I looked at Daniel, the man I once worshipped. When did you plan to tell me? My voice cracked slightly there, not weak, but human. Before or after she posted your hotel photos? He froze. The table froze. A hush fell so thick it could suffocate. Finally, Daniel whispered, Emily, I'm sorry. No. I held up a hand. Not here. Not like this. Apologies without truth are just noise. Then I turned to Ava, and for the first time, she looked uncertain. Do you really think he'll stay loyal to you? I asked quietly. If he cheats with you, he will cheat on you. A waitress passing by actually paused to listen. Ava's face reddened. She opened her mouth, but I cut her off. Men don't leave good wives, I said. They leave peaceful wives for exciting ones. And then they leave exciting ones for the next thrill. The table stared at me like I was delivering a sermon. And maybe I was. Ava's voice shook with anger now. You think you're better than me? No. I smiled, gentle and terrifying. I know I am. The words hit her like a slap. And Daniel, the coward, just sat there looking small, shrinking in his own guilt. So I stood up. I wasn't going to stay here feeding their drama. I had delivered the first blow, and it landed perfectly. But before leaving, I leaned close to Daniel, my voice low enough only he could hear. You made a fool of the wrong woman. Then, without looking at Ava, I whispered, Enjoy being his second choice. You'll feel it every day. Her face drained. I turned and walked out, slow, elegant, victorious. I didn't rush. I didn't stumble. My heels clicked like war drums against marble floors. Every eye followed me, some with pity, some with awe, some with fear, because they could all feel it. A storm had just begun. Outside, the cool night air hit my face like freedom. I exhaled deeply, shaky but proud. No tears. No collapse. Just raw fire inside me. My phone buzzed before I reached my car. A text from an unknown number. You think you won tonight? Sweetheart, you just started a battle you can't handle. Ava. Of course. I stared at the message. And then I laughed, genuinely laughed. I typed back. I don't start battles. I finish them. I hit send. Heart calm. Mind sharp. They wanted war. Good. I was done being the quiet, devoted wife. It was time to be the woman they never saw coming. And they had no idea what I had planned next. That night, I discovered a secret about Daniel, one that made the affair look innocent. When I got home that night, I didn't collapse the way most wives in my position would. I didn't cry into a pillow or curl up on the floor. I stood in my silent living room, heels still on, makeup still perfect, heart still burning, and I breath slow controlled. I kept replaying that dinner in my head, not with regret, but with satisfaction. I had walked into their little fantasy and shattered it without screaming, without begging, without losing myself. But as I stood there, something gnawed at me. A voice inside whispered, "There's more. This isn't just cheating. Something else is happening." I felt it in my bones. And I was right. I went upstairs to our bedroom, the room where Daniel once whispered dreams into my neck and kissed me like I was oxygen. Now it felt like a stage set for lies. His closet door was slightly open. I don't know why, but I walked toward it. Maybe I was looking for answers. Maybe I wanted to hurt. Maybe I needed proof that I wasn't crazy. Inside, I saw his luggage from the so-called business retreat, still half-packed. His suit jacket hung on the door. I slipped my hand into the pocket and felt something paper-like. I pulled it out, and my stomach dropped. It was a contract. My eyes scanned the page fast, adrenaline replacing blood. Investment proposal. Exclusive partnership. Equity split. And then the names. Daniel Carter and Ava Montgomery. My breath caught. They weren't just having an affair. They were planning a business together. But that wasn't the worst part. There was a clause at the bottom. One that punched the air out of my lungs. If Daniel Carter becomes legally single within 90 days, partnership equity increases to 50%. Legally. Single. Divorce. They weren't drifting toward each other by accident. They were plotting conditions. Terms. Profit. And they wanted me gone. Fast. This wasn't just betrayal. This was strategy. He wasn't leaving me for love. He was leaving me for business. Power. Money. I sank onto the edge of the bed, staring at the paper as the truth crystallized into something sharp and cold. He didn't fall for her. He chose her, not because she was better, but because she was useful. I laughed, a bitter, humorless sound. Not romance. Not passion. A transaction. Suddenly, the humiliation wasn't the wound. The insult was. All those nights I doubted myself. All the heartache. All the shaking breaths and sleepless hours thinking I wasn't enough. It wasn't about me at all. I was just inconvenient. Replaceable. But they made one fatal miscalculation. They assumed I would quietly disappear. They thought I would crumble, sign papers, fade away. They had no idea who I truly was. A vibration snapped me from my thoughts. Daniel calling. The nerve. I answered. His voice was tight, cautious, like he could sense the danger through the phone. Emily. About tonight. Save it. I said flatly. He exhaled sharply. You shouldn't have come. You shouldn't have lied, I replied. Silence. Heavy. Dense. Then he tried to soften his tone, that fake reasonable man voice he used when negotiating big deals. Emily, we need to talk like adults. I think we should consider. Divorce? I cut in. Funny. I was just reading your business plans for it. Silence again, this time fearful. Then his voice dropped, cold and defensive. You went through my things? You left the truth lying around, I said. I simply picked it up. He inhaled sharply. You don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly, I said quietly. You weren't cheating for love. You were investing. No response. That makes it easier, actually. I continued. Because now I don't have to mourn a lost marriage. I only have to destroy a business deal. His voice turned sharp. Emily, don't make this ugly. I smiled bitterly into the darkness. It's already ugly, Daniel. You just didn't think I'd fight back. It will get messy, he warned. You should worry about that more than I should, I replied. After all, you're the one with more to lose. He hesitated, then snapped. We can discuss this tomorrow. Sure, I said sweetly. Bring your lawyer. His shock was palpable through the silence. You already hired. Oh yes, I cut in softly. And Daniel? Yes. When I'm done, you'll wish cheating was the worst thing you ever did to me. I hung up. And for the first time since this nightmare began, I felt calm, focused, dangerous. The next morning, my plan began. Step 1. Protect myself financially. I froze our joint credit cards. I moved half the savings into a separate account, legally allowed. Step 2. Visit a lawyer. My attorney, a sharp, poised woman named Veronica, listened without interrupting. When I finished, she leaned back and said, "Your husband made 2 mistakes. He underestimated you, and he left paper evidence." I nodded, heat simmering beneath my ribs. "Let's ruin their timing," she continued. "We'll file first, take control, and we'll subpoena his business plans." A slow, vicious satisfaction spread through me. "And the affair?" I asked. "We'll use it," she replied. "Not emotionally, strategically. Judges like documented betrayal." I closed my eyes, breathing deeply. This wasn't revenge born from heartbreak anymore. This was a correction, a consequence. And I would not stop until everything they built on lies came crashing down. I left her office and walked back to my car, feeling the crisp air bite my cheeks. As I reached for the door handle, I heard a voice behind me. "I wouldn't do this if I were you." I turned, and there she stood. Ava. Perfect hair. Designer coat. But her eyes, they weren't confident anymore. There was tension there. Fear trying to hide behind arrogance. I smiled. "Then it's a good thing you're not me." She stepped closer, voice low and sharp. "You're ruining everything." "No," I replied calmly. "I'm fixing everything." Her jaw clenched. "You think you're powerful because you caused a scene? Because you filed papers? You don't know who you're going up against." I tilted my head, studying her like a problem I already solved. A selfish little girl who thinks ambition is the same thing as intelligence? Her eyes widened, fury flashing. "He's mine now." I shrugged. "You're welcome to him. Trash belongs with trash." She inhaled like she might slap me. I leaned closer. "But understand this, I'm not trying to take him back. I'm taking everything he tried to steal from me." Ava's voice trembled. "You don't scare me. You should be terrified," I whispered, because in that moment, she finally realized. I wasn't the abandoned wife anymore. I was the enemy. The one they didn't see coming. The one who wasn't going to break. The one who was going to ruin them both, legally, financially, socially. And I had only just begun. The next day, something arrived in my mailbox that changed everything, and it wasn't from my lawyer. It was from someone else. Someone who knew the truth about Ava. The next morning, I walked to the mailbox expecting bills, junk mail, maybe a legal document or two. Instead, I found a plain white envelope, no return address. Inside was a single USB drive and a note written in rushed handwriting. "You deserve to know." A friend who couldn't stay silent. My heart thudded. A witness? Someone on the inside? I rushed inside, plugged in the drive, and opened the only file, a folder labeled Ava plus Daniel Evidence. I clicked. At first, I saw screenshots, conversations between Ava and someone named Lucas. Then voice notes. And then, the truth unfolded like a sinister movie. Voice message, Ava. Laughing, cold, arrogant. "Daniel is pathetic. He actually thinks we're in love. Please. I'm not marrying some middle-class dreamer. I'm marrying into his assets. Once we get what we need, he's gone." Another voice note. "His wife? She's boring, but she's smart. We have to humiliate her publicly so she doesn't fight. The more broken she feels, the easier the divorce." My stomach twisted, rage and disgust blending into something lethal. Another one. This time, she was annoyed. "Ugh, Daniel is talking about kids again. Imagine being trapped with his genetics." "Please." I froze. Not because she insulted him, but because Daniel and I struggled to conceive for years. We tried fertility treatments. We tried everything. He held me crying at night when doctors gave us heartbreaking news. He promised children don't define us. And here he was, planning a future with someone who mocked the deepest pain of our marriage. My lungs burned. Then I opened the final file. A video. Ava talking to her sister, in her luxury living room, unaware she was being recorded. Once we secure the shares, I'm out. Daniel can go back to his little life. Honestly, I'll probably dump him sooner. I only like him when he's paying. Her sister asked something. Then Ava said it. The line that sealed their fate. Emily is just a stepping stone. Daniel is just a fool. When I'm done, I'll have everything. And they'll both be nobody's. I sat there frozen, a dangerous calm pouring into my veins. She wanted to destroy me. Destroy my life. Mock my pain. Use my husband. Fine. If she wanted war, she was about to drown in it. That evening, I put on a beige suit, mature, powerful, cold. No tears. No red lipstick. No dramatic look. This wasn't personal anymore. This was execution. I went to the corporate office where Daniel worked. Yes, his workplace. If humiliation was their weapon, then I would use the same battlefield. The receptionist looked flustered when I walked in. Immerse. Carter, he's in a board meeting. Perfect. I smiled. I'll join. Before she could stop me, I opened the boardroom door. 12 executives. Daniel at the head. Ava beside him, like she belonged there. She paled the moment she saw me. Daniel went rigid. Emily, this isn't appropriate. Oh, I smiled. Trust me. It is. I placed a folder on the conference table, calm as ice. Inside, screenshots, transcriptions, a printed contract, a summary from my lawyer, and a USB drive. Their CFO picked it up. What is this? Proof, I said sweetly, that my husband and his business partner plan to sabotage his marriage for corporate gain, and that she intends to defraud him and this company. Gasps. Eyes widened. Spine straightened. Ava stood abruptly. This is pathetic. Jeez. I lifted a hand and hit play on my phone. Her voice filled the room. Daniel is pathetic. Once we get his assets, I'm out. Dead silence. Then another clip. Emily is just a stepping stone. A board member gasped. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." Ava's face drained white. Daniel looked like his soul left his body. I leaned forward, voice like silk dipped in poison. You planned to destroy me. You planned to use him. You tried to take my life apart. Now I'm taking yours. I slid a document across the table. My attorney's letter. Petition for divorce, on grounds of strategic infidelity and fraud. Request for spousal support and division of assets weighted in my favor. Request to freeze marital financial movements due to evidence of coercion and fraud. Daniel swallowed like his throat was made of broken glass. Emily, please. I looked him dead in the eye. No, you do not get to speak now. Ava lunged forward. You vindictive witch. 2 security officers stepped in. The board had already signaled them. The CFO looked at her coldly. Miss Montgomery, until we investigate, consider yourself barred from corporate premises and partnerships. She froze, truly froze, realizing she just lost everything she schemed for. I whispered to her as security approached. You thought humiliation was a weapon. You forgot dignity is armor. Her eyes filled with hate and fear. As she was escorted out, she hissed, "This isn't over." I smiled. Oh, sweetheart. For you, it is just beginning. Daniel stood shakily when the room emptied. He looked smaller than I've ever seen him. Emily, I made a mistake. No, I said softly. You made a choice. He reached out. I lost myself. I can fix this. I stepped back, the final blow ready. You didn't just betray me. You betrayed the woman who loved you enough to build a life with you, even when she couldn't give you children. He froze, guilt flooding his face. I continued, voice unwavering. You threw away a wife for a fantasy, and you ended up losing to reality. His voice cracked. I still love you. I shook my head. You love comfort. You love what I gave you. But you didn't love me enough to protect me. Tears welled in his eyes. You'll regret this, he whispered, not as a threat, but a broken confession. I smiled, not cruel, but peaceful. Already dead. And then I healed. I turned to leave. And Daniel? He looked up, eyes desperate. You didn't lose me to her. You lost me to yourself. I walked out of that building taller than I had walked into it. Not as a wife. Not as a victim. But as a woman who survived betrayal, humiliation, manipulation, and emerged stronger, wiser, unstoppable. A warrior reborn from ashes. A week later, I received one more note in the mail. Thank you for ending what I was too scared to expose. A coworker of Ava. I smiled. Sometimes karma arrives disguised as a stranger with a conscience. And as I sat in my new apartment, sipping tea, sunlight pouring through sheer curtains, peace settled in my bones. They tried to break me. Instead, they built something far more terrifying. A woman who knows her worth. A woman who fights when pushed. A woman who will never be underestimated again. This is not the story of how I lost my husband. This is the story of how I found myself. And I don't regret a single tear, a single battle, a single moment of fire. Because in the end, they didn't destroy me. They freed me. Teach end.